to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Freedom! Oh, Tommy boy. Welcome to the show. This is the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, and I'm Andy Holloway, joined by Jason Moore and Mike, the Fantasy Hitman Wright.
There is nothing that lawyers and attorneys and legislation cannot overcome. Friends of the show.
Freedom! Oh, all of the Patriot fans are happy today.
No.
No?
Jimmy Garoppolo was very sad.
Oh, that was an opportunity. Tom Brady is back.
Yeah, Jimmy was ready to.
Don't you think this
take
is?
that job.
Don't you think this is what Roger Goodell wanted? To have been overturned in court, therefore not giving up or giving way or coming to a settlement. He held his ground. The court overturned it, but he showed that Tom Brady's not special and the Patriots aren't special, and now he's on the field for game one and they make millions of dollars and everything's good.
Week 1 of the NFL, game 1, is so much better now. I did not want to watch the opening day, the kickoff go, and have 800,000 comments about how Tom Brady's not playing the game and Deflategate continuing on through that game from the commentators. So I am very happy that Tommy Boy is going to be there. And also, this was just the logical thing. I mean, you can't prove in court that Tom Brady did something because of some happenstance. You just can't, I knew if it went to court, there's no way that it could be upheld.
So I'm going to ask another question about Tom Brady here in a second. I want to let everyone know how they can get a hold of the show. You can go on to Twitter at the FF Ballers. You can watch the show on YouTube as well as the Fantasy Sports Network. We're very excited to be on the Fantasy Sports Network with this show. Gotten a lot of good feedback, even though gotten isn't a word. And the Fantasy Footballers.
It is now.
Yeah, the fantasyfootballers.com. Go on there. You can submit a question. We have ultimate draft reviews up there. So if you're doing your draft this weekend, you can get a comprehensive review of that draft. We'll give you an in-season action plan, those type of things. Let me tell you what's on the show today. We've got some news and notes. We're going to go through everything that's happening in the fantasy football world. And then we're going to talk about my guys, okay?
My guys.
And your guys.
Talking about.
And Mike's guys.
The best
guys.
guys.
These are going to be, to put it another way, these are our fantasy favorites for the season. These are the guys that we have, as Mike said, hitched our wagon to. And we're going to go ahead and ride out with them.
And this is not an Oregon Trail dysentery-causing wagon.
No.
These are wagons to the top.
That's right.
Of the mountain.
I never got there. When I played Oregon Trail, I never made it.
No,
ever.
But you
never
got
one time
dysentery,
made it.
didn't
Really?
You?
No, I never made it.
Wow.
You didn't pick the banker?
Dude, I had one.
That was a free win.
One of my party members died within 30 seconds of starting, too. It was like never a good start. Remember forging that river? Okay, I'll digress. All right, quick question of the day. Where is Tom Brady in your rankings now? Because he's back.
Guess who's back?
He is in standard. He is 13 for me, and in 6-point, he is 11.
Okay, so you did not use this opportunity to just sound dumb and put him way down your rankings. That seems okay. You don't like him, is my point. You don't really like Brady, so him coming back, I think that's reasonable. So you're a reasonable man.
So when I say I sound like I don't like Brady, but
yep,
correct. Go on.
But for fantasy, I think he's an average play for fantasy, especially compared to the value you must pay for Tom Brady's name.
33 touchdowns, 9 interceptions last year.
Yeah, that's
number 6 in our dynasty league, or in our scoring system.
Our scoring format is different, though.
Okay, I'm just bringing up the other point, Jason. How are you adjusting him from before the suspension to now?
Because in regular scoring, he was 11th. I'm just going to point that out.
I have Tom Brady at 6 right now on my updated rankings, which is higher than I thought he would go, but it is still middle of the pack. And if you look at the one thing you can't see from our rankings when you look at a list right now is just the stats. And there's a big chunk where once you get to that middle, you said middle of the pack. That's exactly what Tom Brady is. So just a matter of where you're going to get him in your draft.
I think, if anything, he adds to the quarterback pool now where streaming is a really viable option. We talk about it, later in the draft. We've seen a lot of people send us their drafts, and they're going the streaming quarterback option. So he's just another guy in the mix there. And the truth is one of the reasons Mike hasn't liked him in the past, even with 33 touchdowns, is that he's kind of been hot and cold, where he has big games and small games. And, he burned bright for 5 games, won you a bunch of weeks, and didn't do it at the end of the year.
Yeah,
so
everybody loves to point out that stretch, weeks 5 through 9, 27 points a game. He was fantastic. Weeks 1 through 4, he was under 10 points a game. It happened. This was
Mike,
this was not
Gronk wasn't ready. Gronk wasn't totally healthy, Mike.
Okay, what about weeks 10 through 16 when he averaged under 17 points a game?
Gronk was tired. He had played a whole season.
You sound like a Sesame Street character.
Okay, that character has to return to this show at another day because
Last thing I will say.
Public opinion? Is that the voice of public opinion?
Sorry, public. I wasn't mocking all of you. The Foot Clan, our loyal listeners would not be saying those things. So together, the Foot Clan, we were mocking others. But I will say this, all the mocking aside, if your draft is done, go and look. There is a chance in many leagues, just statistically speaking, he is on waivers out there. I know, Andy, you picked him up in one of ours. So
I picked him up today.
Put him on your bench and use him to stream.
I'm a Sam Bradford owner, and I had to pick up. I picked up Tom Brady. Figure those are a nice combo.
Yeah.
Play those matchups, and when Bradford goes down. All
Let's
right,
listen to some news and notes.
News and notes from around the league.
Is that just to be clear? Is that Mickey Mouse? Because it sounds a lot like Mickey Mouse.
I can do Mickey, but that's just the public.
All right, let me give you some news and notes. Things happening in the fantasy world in the NFL. Cowboys camp. They're talking about the fact that they might be paying attention to the running backs that have been cut.
I know. I don't even want.
Okay, are you actually gloating about that?
I think it's
have
deserved.
I not been saying that all offseason?
All offseason,
Okay,
even when it was
hold
beyond.
on a second.
Even when it was.
You are missing the point. The point is not that they're looking at a cut running back to bring them in and give them the ball all the time. They're just looking at those to add depth to the team.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness! You think they're gonna go? You think they're gonna go the whole offseason talking up this RBBC between those guys and how they're sure of it, and then here's who they're waiting for: the cut running back to come in and be the bell cow.
Sure do.
That is insane, dude.
Me and Christopher Harris are united.
If we were on Hard Knocks, I would tell you to take a lap because that's ridiculous.
All right, and then you'd get a bunch of F words if we were on Hard Knocks.
That's right. You won't find that here. All right. Packers camp. We talked about this yesterday on the show. Right now, Ty Montgomery is ahead of Jeff Janis because they said Janis hasn't really won over Aaron Rodgers yet, and that is a concern because
should take him to a movie.
Well, that is one step.
That wins people over. Movies.
Yeah, touchdowns does it too, though. And it's surprising because I think Janis had the inside track and he hasn't done it. So this would be a big affirmation for the Montgomery crowd, in my opinion.
Yeah, before Jordy went down, before that happened, you already saw Ty Montgomery overtaking Jeff Janis in practices and things like that. When he was a rookie, they had Janis on the roster. They go out, they draft Ty Montgomery. They put him ahead before he goes down. Now, what's going to change? I definitely think Montgomery is, exactly as this news is reporting, is going to be the guy. People just are too excited about the stats that Jeff Janis presents on a piece of paper. But
I think both guys will absolutely get playing time, and they offer different things to the team. Out of Giants camp, Victor Cruz is very much in doubt for week 1. This is good for Ruben Randall owners, as well as, I would say, Larry Donnell owners. Just the fact that there's not another guy in the mix early on in the season. Another guy that is Rex Ryan had expressed doubt about McCoy, and then only a couple hours later, a report came out where McCoy expressed confidence he'd be fine and ready for week 1. What do you guys think about that situation? And who is the handcuff to own if McCoy didn't start?
The handcuff to own would probably be Carlos Williams, but I don't know that I would start him because I don't expect Carlos Williams to go into that workhorse role. He's actually, this is weird to say after I say Carlos Williams is the handcuff, but on the depth chart, he's about 4th right now. And you don't even know if Carlos Williams is healthy. The reason I say he's the guy to own is because he's the most talented runner there. He's a rookie that they drafted. And so should something serious happen to Shady and it be long-term, then I think Carlos Williams could come in. But I don't trust the player. The player is always going to say, yeah, I'm ready to go. Coach, put me in. But, I would so I'm still weary of week 1 with with Shady.
I want to talk about another player real quick in the news because there are reports that Brent Selleck is very likely to lead the Eagles in snaps this year at the tight end position. And I 100% believe that to be true. Ertz is injured, and he needed this preseason and to solidify himself as a higher snap guy that can block on the field. So if you're drafting, I've seen some teams with Ertz as their only tight end. Not good. He's not even going to play in the beginning of the season, and he's not worth rostering and holding on to probably because then you're holding two tight ends. So that's one other bit of news. And then I wanted to also mention that a couple Broncos bits of news. Emmanuel Sanders is game ready. They expect him to play game 1. And Monte Ball will get a lot of work in week 4, which means that's a roster bubble thing.
Yeah, him and Chris Johnson.
That's going to be
Get him out of here.
Monty Ball, your new starting running back for the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I tell you, they clearly don't like something about Joseph Randle.
Maybe it's that he steals underpants.
Yeah, the underwear burglar. It doesn't help.
There is a red flag that goes up anytime it is mentioned that someone steals underpants.
Yeah, and there's a red flag, too, when Darren McFadden can pass you on any depth chart. Oh. So, all right, let's get into our guys.
Nothing you can take can tear me away from my God.
Wait for it. Oh, my gosh, that's so intense. It's so soft and happy, and then...
It's because these are our guys.
All right. These are our guys. These are the guys we're hitching our wagon to. We want to bring them up because we think where they're being drafted, they're a value. They're guys that we really, truly, deeply believe in. And so I'll kick it off. You guys ready for this?
Yep.
Jeremy Maclin. Jeremy Maclin is my guy. I'm going to tell you why. He's going right now in the 4th round in ADP. Here are some guys going ahead of him that I don't believe belong ahead of him. Amari Cooper, Andre Johnson, Emmanuel Sanders, to name a few. Jeremy Maclin has been my guy for quite a while. And this preseason has only served to validate my thoughts on Jeremy Maclin because I think people are very much he's going to impact that entire Kansas City offense as a whole. That offense will be better. Alex Smith will be better. Jamal Charles will be better. Travis Kelce is better because Jeremy Maclin's there. He had the best hands in football last year. He's been force-fed the ball in preseason. He had 7 targets in about a quarter and a half in his last game. He's got 2 touchdowns, which should help people who are worried about the fact they had none at the wide receiver position last year not worry so much. And the reality is Maclin is an elite athlete and talent. And the big thing that I think you'll see from him this season in Kansas City is when you get off-man coverage on Jeremy Maclin, him and Alex Smith have shown already in the preseason, Maclin's shown it in his career as he's ascended as a wide receiver, that he will get screen passes and do things with them. And so a high-volume, high PPR guy who I do think will get in the end zone, I think this preseason only goes to show how good he is. And I will say, if I had to pick a red flag for him, I am concerned that the volume and use could lead to injury because he is a guy who's been hurt. He takes big hits for some reason. I saw that in the preseason too. But I love Jeremy Maclin, and he is my guy in 2015.
I have spoken against Jeremy Maclin quite a bit, but the usage in preseason has swayed me. I am a little worried about some of my many water bets against Jeremy Maclin.
Yes.
And the truth is...
time out. I just want to let people know what a water bet is because we get that question again. He said we've made many water bets. When we are opposed on a situation, a player, a team, something like that, we will often make a water bet with one another, and that's what you've heard on the show before. You'll hear the sound effect, a water bet has been made. What that simply means is that at the end of the season, when one of us is proved right, myself, and one of you is proved wrong, either of you, we spin a wheel of water, and you get punished by having water thrown on you in a variety of embarrassing ways.
We put our water where our mouth is. Also, we have a new water wheel app coming out very soon.
It's
so that
super
you can
fun.
make your own water bets as well.
Anyway,
free.
I just wanted to explain it. People have asked, so go ahead and go back.
So Jeremy Maclin, he's only had one season ever in his career over 1,000 yards. He's been with this coach before, so it's not like, maybe it'll be a change of system thing. However, I do think that the fact that they've got a good running game and that they've got Kelce, some of those short passes are going to be broken long.
He even got some out of the backfield.
Yeah, so I think he could be decent. All
right, high praise.
You have stuck
All right,
your claim on
Mike.
Joey Macklin.
Mike, why don't you give me one of your guys this season?
So I'll continue with the Kansas City Chiefs.
They're all Chiefs. These are our guys on the Chiefs.
I've talked him up. I'm not backing down a single bit, and that is Travis Kelce. Just watch him play with your eyeballs. We talk about using eyeballs a lot.
Don't tell me what to do.
The guy is a monster. It takes 4 defensive players to bring him down. Last year, he was kind of a preseason hype guy, and so a lot of people jumped on the train and were disappointed because his usage to start the year was very low. We found out eventually that this was part of Kansas City's plan to work him in slowly off of his injury because he missed his entire rookie year. But once he got going, he was red hot. So in limited action, right, that had to scale up throughout the year, 81 targets, 67 catches. That's an 82.7% catch rate. That's
good.
extremely high. Over 850 yards, 5 touchdowns. He had over 500 yards after the catch. So it's not just that he has good hands and he's pulling him down.
He's an athlete.
He is an athlete, and he is 500 yards after catch. That's Gronkian numbers. Like I know that's kind of a sacrilegious thing to compare anybody to the Gronk, but Travis Kelce is coming, right? He hasn't shown it yet for a complete season, but he graded out as the best run blocking tight end in the NFL from Pro Football Focus. He's going to be on the field a ton. Anthony Fasano is gone. Travis Kelce is the man. There's just so many green flags with Travis Kelce. The system, Alex Smith has had success with Vernon Davis. He is a perfect fit for what Alex Smith does as a quarterback.
All right. I agree with very much of what you said. I have concerns about seeing it. We haven't seen it. So when I was staring down the Olsen-Kelce decision in our draft, I was on the Olsen side. You put your money where your mouth was, and you drafted Kelce in our big dynasty league. So I am very excited to see what I said a minute ago about their offense being improved. Kelce's going to do that for Macklin just as much as Macklin's going to do it for Kelce.
And Kelce's going in the 5th round.
Okay.
Yeah. Does this mean that my guy has to be Alex Smith here?
Yes.
Because his 2 main options are your guys. No?
I don't think that's what that means.
No, it's
Good.
DeAnthony Thomas.
No.
Jason's
All right.
guy.
So
Nice.
here's my
I like
first
that.
guy. My first guy that I am falling more and more in love with lately. In fact, I think I tweeted out the truth that I just traded LaShawn McCoy pretty much straight up for him. Lamar Miller. Lamar Miller. Let me ask you something.
But what about his limited workload?
Well,
We'll get there.
Is that similar to the limited workload he had last year? I would say, yeah. I mean, he had limited workload. Everyone complains. Last year, do you know how many games he got 20 carries?
No.
0.
Yeah, that makes
0
sense.
games. He had a limited workload. Do you like having a running back 1 on your roster, Mike?
Usually.
Do you want a
Usually
running back
speaking.
1?
I like 2 of them.
Yeah, well, yeah. So a lot of times people forget that Lamar Miller last year was an RB1. He was a top 12 running back last year in limited work. Okay, so now in the offseason, Joe Philbin comes out and says, hey, it wasn't a thing where we tried to not get him the ball 20 times. I got no problem. I've never had a conversation with my coaches where I've said, don't give Lamar Miller the ball more than 20 times. If he's cranking and he's going, I'll give him the ball 24 times a game. I'll use him as a workhorse. He said that. But then coaches say things in the offseason. So come to preseason game 3, the real show of what we're doing in the season. And Lamar Miller was involved on almost every single play. Now, it wasn't, I think he only got like 6 or 7 carries. He was in about a half. But he also caught 5 of 5 passes and looks phenomenal. He is a key part of a growing offense. Last year, he was an RB1. And the thing I love about him right now is that he's going in the back of the second. I mean, if you've got that first or second pick, that third pick in that range, and you get a stud RB, you can literally at your third pick, you can be looking at him sometimes. So I just think, or your second pick near that turn, the value is there, and he's not getting a lot of love. So I want to love on you, Lamar.
Oh, my goodness. Froyo.
Let me
Just get a Froyo.
hold you.
All right, so my next guy is another guy that I've talked about a lot this offseason. And then there was some Fantasy Reaper stuff that happened. And then I'm leaving him on my board, so I'm sticking with you, Arian. Arian Foster is my guy. His draft spot right now is the back of the 4th round. This is a guy who you've heard the refrains from me before. His career is not trending downward. It's trending up, 4.1 to 4.5 to 4.8 a carry. If you've watched Hard Knocks at all this offseason, you know the desperate need for both offense and a running back position on the Houston Texans, and they trust Arian. He is a stalwart of that offense and team, and as soon as he's back, he's back. That is my contention. And so because of that, and because of the fact that he could be back within 2 to 4 weeks, I love Arian Foster.
But Andy, didn't you just curse him again and break his legs by talking about him?
Absolutely not. I will throw any fears away. I think Arian will be great when he returns. And everybody who's submitting draft reports to me right now, they're getting a good grade when Arian Foster's on their bench.
So that's your key. Draft Arian and then submit us the draft report if you want that A.
Because of what he represents. You just talked about what Miller represents. Miller represented that situation I said I wanted where you get 2 RB1s.
There you go.
Well, if you can get him in the back of the second and you've already drafted one and you believe he's that good, that's 2 RB1s. Well, Arian represents an RB1 when you need him. You know, for most of the season towards the back half, and then your team changes. The dynamics of your team change.
So you grab Lamar Miller after taking your stud in the very beginning of the draft, and then grab Arian Foster. Who wants 3 RB1s?
So according to the Houston Chronicle, the Houston Chronicle on multiple occasions has said he could return as soon as the end of September. That's just a couple games.
Aren't we in September already?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That's just
that'd
a couple
nice.
games that you could end up with a guy who can finish as the number 1 running back.
And this is just not a value play. This is because I believe Arian Foster, he was my number 1 running back at the top of my draft boards before the injury. And so I'm excited to see this next episode of Hard Knocks because it looked like Arian will be featured in there, and he's recovering, and he's going to get back, and he's going to get healthy, and he's going to do it.
Or he's going to die.
Well,
Sorry.
hopefully that doesn't happen.
Mike.
Remember, what is it? A negative times a negative?
Ooh,
that's
yeah.
a positive.
All
Double reaping. He's in for the best season yet.
I like it.
All right, Mike. Who's your next guy?
So my next guy that I am completely attached to is Allen Robinson. In 10 games, he had 81 targets. 81 targets in 10 games. That includes that puts him on pace for over 130 targets throughout the year. Now, what I want with Allen Robinson, who's going in the 5th round, is opportunity. I think the Jaguars' offense is improving. They did an overhaul of the offensive line, and all the scouting reports of Blake Bortles say Blake Bortles does not even resemble the player of last year.
That's good.
Yeah, because he was terrible last year, and Allen Robinson was still getting production. And so if you improve Blake Bortles, and improved Allen Robinson, he was now healthy. We had the little scare in the preseason game, and
Which people blame me for.
Yeah, that was your fault.
Seriously, Andy.
Why can't
Stop
we just
talking football?
Don't you know it was Fred Jackson's fault?
But a plug for tomorrow. We're going to talk to Matt Harmon, he created Reception Perception, and from Matt Harmon's analysis, the only rookies to have a better success against coverage last year were ODB and John Brown, and then it's Allen Robinson. So he thinks he's a spectacular wide receiver. Cecil Shorts, 110 targets, gone. Allen Robinson is the man in Jacksonville.
I'll be honest, I've gone back and forth with him a little bit. I definitely think he belongs on rosters, and he's a value in drafts. But I've gone back and forth on believing that he could be special from a fantasy perspective. There have been times when I'm like, well, yeah, he's going to do that. The target numbers are great. And then there have been times when the offense has bogged that down in my mind.
With Julius Thomas probably missing those first games, I think it bodes well because he could set himself up as a red zone target.
All right, so let's take a break here. I want to talk daily fantasy sports for a second because FanDuel's 1-week games are almost here, and we're super excited about that. We've got Chris Meany from the Fantasy Sports Network coming on once a week, Daily Dose section. We know how much you love daily fantasy, and I am super excited that FanDuel is almost here.
Look, FanDuel is the leader in 1-week fantasy football with more winners and more payouts than any other site. They're paying out over $75 million a week. A week. That's a lot of cash.
That's like one Julio Jones contract a week.
That's a lot of cash.
For playing games.
So it's a salary cap format. You can pick any players you want. You want Beckham. You want Julio Jones. You want Blake Bortles. You go get him.
Go get him.
With entry fees starting as low as $1, anybody can play. Very low risk, very high reward, a very entertaining time. You know what? For the Foot Clan, we want to talk about DFS. You want to talk about it? You tweet me at FFHitman. We'll talk some DFS.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. DFS is the next big thing. So if you want to play DFS, you're going to play DFS on FanDuel. Go to FanDuel.com and click on the microphone in the upper right-hand corner and use our code BALLERS and sign up now. There's a special offer for all new users. Every dollar you deposit on FanDuel will match it up to $200. $200, and that gets earned out as you play. So that's a bonus of up to $200 free dollars, and the offer is only good for people that go on and use the promo code BALLERS. Click that microphone, and go to FanDuel.com, where every single day is a new season. That's FanDuel.com. Sign up today.
I'm surprised you can spell that.
I could read it. I can't.
Oh, there you go. Hey, speaking of our guys, fan favorites, I want to tell you guys about the best new way to find amazing deals on football tickets. It's easy. It's called the SeatGeek app, and we've talked about it for a while, and people love it. Our listeners love it. They send us tweets all the time talking about the deals they got, the games they're going to. It is a very, very cool app.
Yeah. The SeatGeek app is truly, honestly, the best, and here's why. I'll give you 3 reasons. I use it myself. The SeatGeek app, it searches over 100 different websites for seats. So you're getting all of the seats that are out there. Anywhere you think about searching, search on the SeatGeek app, and then it pulls in the best price. Then, when you're looking at the app, it actually shows you like a color-coded grid where you could just look and say, oh, that's the best value right there. It's a big green circle, and you just find the best seat, the best priced seat of anyone, anywhere from over those 100. And their new app, it makes it so easy. It's like one-touch buying. So if you like going to games, go and get the SeatGeek app.
All right, here's what you do, Foot Clan. You go download the free SeatGeek app today. You enter promo code FOOTBALLERS. That's promo code FOOTBALLERS. And you know what SeatGeek's going to do? They're going to send you $20 after you've made your first SeatGeek purchase. $20 for already cheap tickets. Get the free SeatGeek app, promo code FOOTBALLERS.
All right, let's talk some more of our guys, and it's Jason's turn here. You're on the docket. Who is your guy? You've said it, Lamar Miller's one of them. This next guy, who is he?
My next guy is going to be similar, very similar to Travis Kelce. We already mentioned him a little bit, but
His
it's
name
Greg.
is Kelsey Travis.
His name is Kelsey Travis. Greg Oden is what I was going to say. Greg Olsen. Greg Oden would be a good tight end. I'm just throwing that out there for one game until he gets crumbled.
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 Crumbled Odin.
So the footballers as a group, we've been very high on Travis Kelce, and the reason is because where you get him versus where you have to take Gronk or Jimmy Graham presents a unique value that you really don't get from anyone else in the draft until Kelvin Benjamin went down. And when he went down, you saw exactly what you saw from last year out of Greg Olsen when there was only one target, and now there's 0 targets other than Greg Olsen. Kelvin Benjamin had 146 targets last year, okay? And Greg Olsen had over 1,000 yards last year. So this year, if you watch that third preseason game, we talked about it a little bit, he got every other pass. And here's the thing. He's the only guy on the Panthers that knows how to catch those passes because every other pass bounced off a Panther. But Greg Olsen caught them. I mean, he is just such a reliable target. And the thing I love, you can get him in the 5th round. He's going on an average in the 5th round. PPR, he's an even bigger value. I think you've got him 2nd on your board in PPR, right?
I do.
Getting a guy that's 2nd in your position in the 5th round is just fantastic.
I honestly can't get the mental picture of Greg Oden running routes out of my head.
Ouch.
What?
Ouch.
Oh
Why
my
does
goodness.
he sound like a dinosaur?
I don't know because he looks like a dinosaur. All right. Well, let's go. We got one more guy each, so let's go through those kind of quick here. My guy, my third guy here, is not like Foster and Macklin in that they have been my guy for a long time, but it's Sam Bradford. Sam Bradford is my guy, and I drafted him as my quarterback on Sunday.
He's your teammate.
He's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. He's going behind guys like Stafford and Brady and Romo, and I think he'll finish above all of them. In 2013, Nick Foles and Michael Vick combined for the second best quarterback behind Peyton Manning and his 55 touchdowns. That is the upside of an Eagles quarterback.
Nick Foles, people.
Yeah.
Nick Foles.
Yeah. You heard Chris Harris's thoughts on Nick Foles yesterday.
And
that guy.
If you live in St. Louis, we love Nick Foles.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that. Last we saw him, Sam Bradford, in 2013, he looked great. Mike's talked about it before. He had 1,687 yards and 14 TDs in 7 games. That's a lot like what we've seen from, Palmer. A 2-a-game touchdown average, and the potential of this offense is immense. He's dumping the ball off to guys like DeMarco Murray and Darren Sproles and Ryan Matthews all game long. And then he's got great wide receivers that have the ability to take screen passes and those type of small, accurate things that he does better than Foles or Vic would do and take them to the house. And so, this preseason, 13 for 15, 156 yards, 3 TDs, and a lot of fist pumps. He's looking good.
Fist pumps.
So Sam Bradford's my guy.
Yeah.
So, and my final guy is similar to Sam Bradford, a late-round quarterback. I've talked about him all offseason, Carson Palmer. Since he's been with the Cardinals, not counting last year because he missed half the year, over 4,000 yards. The guy gets it done. The offense is set up perfectly for Carson Palmer. Bruce Arians loves to take the shots. He loves to throw the ball. I think this is the best offense that Carson Palmer will have been a part of. Now, the line is shaky to start, but by a few weeks in, I think the line will repair itself with Upati coming back and them getting their Massey back at right tackle. But last year, he had 2 TDs and 2+ TDs in every game except for the ACL tear game. If you extrapolate his numbers, he had over 40.
Are you telling me he won't throw 2 TDs in any game he tears his ACL?
He might. He might. But he had over 40. He would have had over 4,300 yards with 30 touchdowns. This is a guy who's going in the 11th round, the back of the 11th round. So if you are waiting on quarterback like I am, and then people start snaking Sam Bradford from you, Carson Palmer is a completely competent quarterback because your roster will be so loaded with depth that you can start the year with Carson Palmer.
People have
and feel
been
great
listening.
about it.
People have been listening to you, Mike. I've seen him on a lot of rosters that I wouldn't have expected to see him on because he's been that value late.
And
so,
John Brown is ready to break out.
I agree with you.
Yeah. He was
He's
above Allen
really,
Robinson, right?
really
in
good.
what you were saying from Harmon?
Yes.
So my last guy, you've heard me talk about him a lot through preseason, and that's really what's turned me on to him, is Chris Ivory. Chris Ivory is still going in the 4th round. Last year.
That's stupid.
Last year. Well, no, I don't think that you reach for him. I'm not telling you to take him in the 2nd or the 3rd, but I'm saying in the 4th, he is so much better than the other guys that are right around him because you've got a guy who has done it before. Last year, he was an RB2. Okay, he was in the middle of the RB2s, and he split the workload all year long with Chris Johnson. Well, Chris Johnson's leaving. He also, you want to know what he didn't do? He didn't catch passes. But the offseason, they said they're working him in as a pass-catching back, and we've seen it all preseason. So he is the lead workhorse back for a running team, and he is a quality back. The only issue with Chris Ivory is injury because he's had a history of them. But, I mean, you've got that issue with any running back, and if you're in the 4th, take him. He's going to be valuable.
I agree. I completely agree. I am embarrassed to admit what I just had to do. I had to search Google to see if Zach Stacy was traded back to the Rams because I had a dream that he was traded back to the Rams, and I literally had to go look it up because I don't know why that happened. I thought in the dream, I thought it was really quite silly that he would go back to the Rams, and in fact, it didn't happen.
You dream very hardcore to make you believe that could have happened today. In the daytime.
It's draft season, people. We're not sleeping a lot.
I'll tell you what.
So
I'm
when we
dreaming
sleep,
about.
we REM.
I dream about ultimate draft reports that I'm filling out nonstop every day of my life.
That's a good point. You can get your own ultimate draft report on the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. I also want to let everyone know that the Foot Clan members over at Patreon at jointhefoot.com, we have an exclusive mailbag episode that's coming out today just for our supporters on that. That's the only way you can access that episode. So we have an extra bonus episode, a mailbag episode, answering your questions on jointhefoot.com. So stay tuned for that if you are a supporter of this show. Let's go ahead and take a minute and answer a few mailbag questions right now.
Mailbag.
All right, this one comes in from Michael in Wichita. It is a grade the trade question. One team traded Greg Olsen and Arian Foster and received Jordan Cameron and Lamar Miller.
Look at that. 3 of our guys in the single trade. So you got Greg Olsen.
You guys are pondering over there because what you're seeing is
I got to
Lamar.
break it down.
Yeah, I know. It's a tough one because it depends on the other guys on your roster.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, it completely depends. If you've got, if you need Lamar Miller, then taking Lamar Miller is good because if you didn't have a running back to start, then you need
exactly.
that. But if you've got running back depth, then I'd much rather have Greg Olsen and Arian Foster if you can get through those first few weeks until Arian Foster comes. But if you're in need of that running back, then I love Lamar Miller. So
the pure talent of all the players combined, the Olsen-Foster side is better.
Yeah,
to me. Do you agree, Mike?
Yeah, I thought Jason spelled it out completely, and because I like Jordan Cameron, but not as much as Greg Olsen.
All right, this one comes in from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Sniper, that's his name.
Okay.
As a member of the Foot Clan, he loves the show, but why have you not talked about Scott Chandler going to the Patriots? After seeing what happened in 2011 with Gronk and Hernandez 1 and 3.
Because we've seen what the Patriots have done with tight ends since that event.
There have been a lot of guys in which that logic has been applied. Tim Wright is one of them. Zach Sudfeld. Wasn't Mo Iaki there? And people thought there was...
So the question is...
That's the reason why.
Yeah.
Chandler's okay.
Scott Chandler is not Aaron Hernandez. Aaron Hernandez was a better player than Scott Chandler. It's pretty simple.
Well, they really crafted an offense around Hernandez at that time. That's why you got production and unique production from an athlete like him.
This is my prediction for Scott Chandler. Exactly what Tim Wright was last year.
Yeah.
He'll have games.
Occasional touchdowns.
He'll have one catch, one touchdown games, and if you want to rely on that, then you're dancing with some evil.
Yeah. What do you think about people who are drafting Josh Hill as their tight end? Their only tight end?
I think it's fine to start I think it's completely fine.
Okay.
All those at that area, those back end guys, it's about touchdowns, and Josh Hill has shown that he can catch touchdowns he's got Drew Brees.
Okay.
So
I'm curious because I've seen that a little bit, and I've gotten that fearful belly feeling when I see that as your only tight end on a roster.
Yeah, there's also probably guys that we like better than Hill on the waiver, but I'm fine with it. It's okay. But if it was me, I would probably drop Josh Hill and pick up someone else. So
all right,
Eifert's out there. So.
Last question here, Alex in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Would you trade Vincent Jackson for Arian Foster?
Yep.
Yeah. As long as you have some wide receiver depth, which it looks like he does.
You're not giving up a bona fide wide receiver one here.
And here's what I tell people all the time with Arian Foster. The upside is out of control. If he comes back when they say he's going to come back, he could still finish as a top 5 running back. But if you're trading for Foster, you're being very aggressive, and you need to be okay if he does not come back for the entire season, because a groin injury can flare up. He can re-injure it easily. So just know that what you're doing is a very aggressive move.
Oh, please don't re-injure your groin.
Boom, 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 boom.
All right, that is all the time we have for today's show. Very excited about the show tomorrow. We've got Matt Harmon on the show. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Mike?
That is correct.
All right, we got Matt Harmon on the show. We're going to continue to set the table for the season. We're very excited about next week. We're going to have awesome episodes getting you ready for week 1. I can't wait for some football.
Yes, next week is going to be so fun.
You guys aren't pumped for preseason week 4?
Next week is going to be so fun.
Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another edition of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Don't forget to visit us on the web at www.thefantasyfootballers.com and follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers.